Today on Cannabis Culture and History. Cannabis benefits, myths, and risks. I repeat, cannabis benefits, myth, and risk. Oh, they try to get your boy tongue-tied. Okay, let's roll the clip, baby.
Is cannabis safe to use? It's getting legalized in a lot of countries. More people are using it. I assume if more people are doing it, it must be safe.
Are you high right now?
Are you high right now?
You think cannabis is safe?
Yeah.
All right.
What is this, Cheech and Chong?
Hey man, am I driving okay? I think we're parked, man.
Let's figure it out.
Okay.
Now, honestly, there are some benefits to cannabis use, right? Let's get those out of the gate right now.
So we're going to talk about where it is healthy. Healthy is probably not the right word, but where there are some potential benefits, where it's going to be not so beneficial. We'll bust a couple myths. Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Brad Weening.
And I'm Dr. Paul ZALZAL.
I thought you were going to say I'm Tommy Chong.
No. So cannabis. This is the funny thing about cannabis is often you'll see prescription medication make it onto the streets, right? Percocets, benzos, and all that.
Yeah.
Cannabis went the other way.
Yeah.
Came from the streets and found its way into prescription medication.
Right, and I think you could argue all day long about how it was vilified and now it's been decriminalized and who's getting who. A lot of people, it's the alcohol versus the cannabis argument. And obviously, if alcohol is discovered today, it would be illegal. It would not be sold in a corner store. So
unlikely.
They both have negative effects, and both of them probably cause more problems than they solve.
Fair enough.
It's a whole nother discussion.
Okay, but now focusing on cannabis.
Yes.
What are some of the perceived benefits or even medical uses?
Okay, so I'd say for me there's the big three.
Yeah.
So glaucoma. So studies have shown that it reduces intraocular pressure for people that have refractory glaucoma.
Good.
So fine.
Help your eyes.
Number two, nausea, particularly people that are having nausea after chemotherapy for cancer.
And most people swear by it too.
Yes,
I really believe that helps with the nausea caused by chemotherapy, which is huge, right? That is one of the biggest problems with chemotherapy is nausea that you feel with it, and this can help with that. So that's good.
And then the last one is for some pain syndromes or pain conditions, particularly neuropathic pain, stuff that's really refractory to other traditional medicines, seems to have some potential benefit.
And that's probably the most common way we see it used, right? In our practice, right? Because our patients oftentimes come in with pain, right? That's why we see people, mostly due to arthritis.
And more on the CBD side than the THC side. So
post-traumatic. But a lot of those people tell us that, they use it for pain. This is the only thing that works.
Okay.
So that's your medical uses that we have found in the literature. And there may be others. Leave comments if you found it works, for your hemorrhoids or something. I don't know. Leave a comment if you've had other uses. But those are sort of the big three uses that we see cannabis use finding its way into medical practice.
Right. Now, I'd say people that use cannabis regularly certainly argue very vehemently that there's a lot of ways or measures that cannabis is better for you than other things.
Sure.
And so we're going to probably demystify a little bit of that.
Yeah. But remember, being better than something that's really bad for you but is still bad for you is not a good thing.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think remove the thought. It's just it's not healthy. It's not. It's not a blueberry.
Yeah.
It's not a walnut.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like saying, well, running across the highway is not safe, but if I run across the highway with a helmet on, it's better.
Sure.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I did. I don't.
Soft.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's.
It's like the skydivers that wear a helmet. I'm like, what's?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
You're done, right?
Okay. So number one, I would say for me is that people that particularly smoke cannabis, would say that it's way better for your lungs than smoking cigarettes.
Again, if you're comparing yourself to something that's really bad, and you're a little better than something that's really bad, but you're still bad.
Right. So what does the science say about this? So first of all, a lot of people that smoke cannabis combine it with tobacco anyway, so you have a lot of problems with the cannabis there.
So now you're back to the
the risk there.
Yeah.
So if you just smoke cannabis and don't add any tobacco, it still has things that become volatile that are toxic, it can lead to problems. And there's growing evidence, the more we study cannabis users, the more we're learning that these people get lung cancer, often more aggressive cancers at younger ages. There have been a lot of articles out in the last 5 years that have shown this. So you are not spared the risk of lung cancer.
No.
Certainly if you're if you're consuming cannabis edible products, you avoid the lung risk.
Yeah.
So that's one way to avoid it. But if you're smoking it, we've talked about this, you superheat something and you inhale it, it's just not good for our health. So don't think that you're being protected from lung cancer by smoking weed as opposed to smoking cigarettes.
No, and remember, your lungs were made to exchange gases. That's the point of them. So when you're using your lungs to get substances into your body, odds are you're going to do harm.
Okay.
Okay, number 2.
Yeah, so number 2 is the mental health side. And there's kind of 2 separate sections of the mental health. So the maturing brain matures that we believe around age 25. And as it is maturing, there are 3 specific areas that are vulnerable to the effects of cannabis. And that would be your prefrontal cortex, which is like some of the decision-making areas, your hippocampus, where memories are made and consolidated, and your amygdala, where emotions are regulated. So these areas are very vulnerable and are immature until about age 25. So
I'm still waiting.
a little side note, if you are determined to use cannabis, try to wait till you're 25.
Okay,
Right?
fair enough.
It's not an endorsement for cannabis, but if you are saying, forget it, I'm trying it, I'm going to try it, I'm probably going to use it, try to wait till you're 25 because the effects will be less. So on the emotional side, a lot of people say, well, I take cannabis or I use cannabis products to reduce my anxiety and depression. There are actually good studies to show in people that do, it actually increases your risk of anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, ironically, you thought it was it doesn't. Maybe on the short term, maybe for 2 seconds, maybe while you're high, but overall increases anxiety and depression.
Right, so this is not a solution. This is anxiety and depression is a very real, pervasive problem in our society.
Complicated.
Yes. Talk to your healthcare provider. There are a lot of multimodal strategies to help deal with these things, whether it's therapy, medication,
exercise,
whatever. There's a whole bunch of things that can help. Please talk to your doctor or your healthcare provider to get help with this. Don't think the cannabis is the answer because it might make it worse.
That's what the evidence shows.
The second side of this is the more severe mental health stuff, so the schizophrenia and psychosis. So if you are someone who has a genetic predisposition to this, particularly well-documented family history of schizophrenia, this can increase the chances of you getting schizophrenia or having psychotic episodes. And these are obviously very scary, and schizophrenia potentially is irreversible, essentially. So you are encouraged to not wait till you're 25 to avoid if you have a documented
altogether.
history. Yes, and this is pretty well documented.
Right. The next one is, and this is like just about every other drug that we know about, is during pregnancy. This should be avoided during pregnancy. There is good evidence that the fetus can suffer. Preterm birth
Crosses the blood-brain barrier.
does a small-sized fetus.
Yeah.
Risk to the fetus for complications in pregnant women, just like almost all the other drugs that we
Right,
talked
so
about.
not only just preterm, like low birth weight, but obviously their very, very, very immature brain is exposed to these chemicals at higher levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if your brain is like mine, still maturing, as we discussed, is very dangerous for that brain.
We're waiting for it. Okay, next one is academically or vocationally. This reduces your memory and your focus. So students, whether you're of high school age or university age, they've done good studies to show that it reduces your probability of finishing high school.
Okay.
It reduces your probability of success through high school as well as in postgraduate training, like if you go to university. So people that smoke cannabis perform poorly because they have trouble not only forming but also storing and organizing thoughts and memories.
Okay. I mean,
And everyone knows someone at school that smoked a lot of pot and got really high marks. That person is the aberration.
yeah.
Right?
I don't know. Sure.
Yeah.
There are.
It's not a solution.
No. And the last one is, and this is probably where I've seen the most recent literature on it, is the cardiovascular effects.
Yes.
So the most recent paper I found was published in the JACC in March of 2025.
Okay, this year.
Yeah, and it was reported on by the American College of Cardiologists.
Okay.
And it found a significant increase in the risk of serious cardiovascular events in people under 50 years old. So this particular study looked at a series of over 4 million people, identified about 2% were cannabis users. Those 2% were less healthy before they even started than the other population in terms of BMI and comorbidities.
Yeah.
However, when they accounted for all that and found 2 matched groups, okay, I think they ended up with like maybe 60,000 people in the 2 groups, or 80,000 or something like that. Okay. And they found that when you look at heart attack, myocardial infarction, that was a 6-time increase in the cannabis users. Okay. If you look at stroke, it was a 4-time increase compared to the non-cannabis users. Congestive heart failure, 2-time increase. And then cardiovascular death, MI, stroke altogether, including death, was a 3-time increase in the cannabis users.
That's a lot.
So, and this is pretty recent science.
Yep.
Okay. It seems like it's an observational type study. It's not a randomized controlled trial.
Right.
It would be almost impossible to a blinded randomized controlled trial.
Yes.
Because you'd be able to tell the people that are high.
Probably. Yeah.
So you can't blind it. But in a retrospective observational type study, definite evidence that you have significant increased risk of cardiovascular events in the cannabis users in people under 50.
So if that's not convincing, 'cause that's a lot of stuff. It's
Yeah.
a lot of negative stuff.
Yeah.
Some honorable mentions would be the amotivational syndrome that comes with people who chronically use cannabis. These people have been shown to have less motivation because they're high all the time.
Right.
Well documented. So they do less schoolwork. They go to their job less. They have higher absenteeism. Generally speaking, there are obviously exceptions to the rule. The second one is the hyperemesis situation they can have. People that chronically use
hyperemesis.
cannabis can develop nausea and vomiting that is very, very significant. Good news is if you stop, it will go away somewhere in the 5 to 6 week range if you stop cold turkey. Not to mention the dependence issue. So it is not traditionally like specifically physically dependent, like if you stop it, you get specific physical withdrawal symptoms, not as commonly, but definitely you do have a dependence that develops because of this. So that's another reason to not do it.
Well, they call it the gateway. I mean, it's not itself is
Right.
not as addictive as tobacco or alcohol.
Right.
It has some addictive properties, but they often call it a gateway to the other addictions.
Right, and that's very hard to measure, but yeah, certainly it makes more sense. So one other little side note, so since its legalization in Canada in 2018, use has gone up like approaching 5 times. The market went from like $1 billion to $5.8 billion. Interestingly, in one paper that I just saw, Canada is number 2. If you ask people how have you used cannabis in the last year, Canada was number 2 behind Chile. So legalization certainly increases the use, does not necessarily increase the abuse.
The U.S. was number 3.
U.S. was number 3, and then Iceland. I thought that was interesting.
Surprising.
Iceland, New Zealand in that study.
Imagine the Northern Lights under the influence of cannabis.
Wow. And then the last thing I was going to say, what's interesting too, that's probably made it more commonly to be used, is the cost. So everything in life usually goes up, right? So in the mid 80s, because cannabis was illegal and it was hard to find and to procure, and it was harder to produce, a gram of cannabis or marijuana was $5 to $10.
Is that what you used to pay for it?
No, in 1985 I was like a kid.
Early starter.
I was smoking weed. But 40 years later, depending on where you buy it, in Canada, because now it's sold in stores run by the government, and the efficiency of harvest, the quality of the product, you can pay as little as $3.50. What things in life have gone down in the last 40 years?
Sorry,
if you buy it
drug dealer.
wholesale, they said $1.28. I thought it was interesting. Who's buying weed wholesale?
Sorry, drug dealers.
So it's gotten cheaper. So that's one of the arguments, right? Is that, hey, it's cheaper, so I'm going to do it cheaper.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that is really concerning, though, is the amount of THC in cannabis has gone up drastically. So in the 70s and 80s, it was in the 2 to 8% range.
That's more the hallucinogenic part of it.
Yeah,
right?
so the stuff that if you're trying to get
you
high, the amount of get high stuff in there was like 2 to 8% before. Now it can go as high as 35%, so potentially 15 times stronger. So this is why it's probably making more habits. It's probably reducing your motivation to do stuff. You're not going to school. You can't make a memory.
You know what's got me?
Things have changed.
Is the gummy. That
Yeah,
gummy
the
bear.
edibles.
If you think of the gummy bear, that was just a treat. Then we started putting vitamins in it and made gummy bear vitamins. Then we stuck a bunch of fiber in it. We made gummy bear fibers.
Yeah, put some weed in it.
Now we got some weed in the gummy bear.
Well, and this is also
There's never been a more versatile treat.
This is also the really dangerous thing
Yeah,
for
the
kids,
kids.
right? A kid sees an edible, so please, if you do use them, please hide them and lock them away from your children, because that child thinks that that's a candy.
I think that was on an
And there has
episode.
been-
Wasn't that on the
On
episode?
The Pit.
The Pit, yeah.
Yeah, and the guy almost lost custody of his child
Because of the gummies.
Yeah, so, and the trouble is the doses in these are very high, so kids can get very sick, and then incidence of overdoses for adults as well as for children has gone up drastically in countries where this is readily available. So take-home message is, it's not as safe as you thought. It is not a healthy solution, and if you're going to imbibe, just do it very, very carefully and responsibly.
I'm going to design an entire meal in the gummy bear with your fiber, your protein, your vitamins, your carbs in the gummy bear.
Truly, where fun food has gone to die, Dr. ZALZAL's
Gummy
Gummy
bear.
Meal.
The whole meal.
There you go. If you like this video, please like it. Subscribe to our channel. Share it with someone that you thinks that cannabis is totally safe.
If you're high right now, we're sorry. We didn't want to make you feel bad about what you're doing, but
True buzzkill.
right? Whoa. We are a buzzkill. Remember, you are in charge of your own health.
We'll see you next time.
Okay. That was Cannabis cannabis culture and history. Cannabis benefits myth and risk. And that's with talking with docs, Dr. Weenie and Dr. ZALZAL. What you think about the big three, the big three things that cannabis are normally known for, as far as good use, like the glaucoma relief, nausea, and certain pain conditions. If you know anybody taking marijuana for medical, you know, comment down low, yes, no. If you want to elaborate, but yeah, and if you're for recreational use, how do you feel about some of the things that was said about the risk portion of it, of being long term, and it's best suited to start smoking marijuana at the age of 25? Yeah, tell me how you feel. That was interesting. I hope you learned something. Leave your comments and your questions down low. That was very interesting.